as we were planning, what do we talk about? And PCI was obviously a key topic, not the most glamorous and exciting payments topic to talk about, but I thought this was the most impactful thing we could mention today, because this is actually a pretty significant change. And over the past decade, you've used our own copy and pay widgets or embedded checkouts to balance that trade-off between user experience and using a hosted checkout or a full redirect away from your website. So we continue to work and figure out how do we deliver the best in payment security and the best user experience for your users on your checkout page. Okay, enough about security. Next up, I'd like to invite Blamo and Anine, and they're going to tell you about how you can get paid.
SA.
What a turnout, eh, Blamo?
Yeah.
That all for us.
All first.
Fantastic. Guys, it looks like I know the majority of you, one or two faces I don't. I'm Anita Cook. I head up partnerships for the Beach Payments team.
I'm Blamo Brooks. A few of you definitely know me. I've been with Peach for 8+ years. Iskant, Suzalase, or part of the furniture. And I head up the account management space.
Fantastic. So, Blamo, you and I are super passionate about payments. I think everyone that knows us know that. And the million-dollar question is, what does the future of payments hold? What should we be looking at? And that being a difficult question on its own, I think if you ask 5 people in this room, you'll get 10 different answers. So I went to my son, my 12-year-old, and I asked him, what does the future of payments look like? What would you ideally like to see within payments? And he thought about it and said, he'd like to have brainwaves populate payments in online shopping. I thought, what do you mean? I was expecting something around PayShop, RTC. But anyways, he went for that. And I asked him, but elaborate. Tell me what exactly is it that you mean within that? And it basically came down to his thinking is if a paraplegic can have his limbs being moved by brainwaves, surely we can populate payments or online shopping with your brainwaves and thoughts. So it got me thinking, well, we don't know whether Dave Glass is here. Maybe we should chat to him or someone, or definitely Raul. And essentially, it got down to he wants to think about buying the next Xbox, know the model number that he wants, and he wants his device of choice that is linked to his brain to populate certain options with delivery and fulfillment on that device, and then think about when he wants it delivered, and then in essence get down to the point where he actually voice prompts to say, pay with mommy's card, and then once he arrives back from school, the device is delivered. So I thought that was quite cool. And it got me to realize that I'll be thinking big enough about payments.
Firstly, out of the mouths of babes. Off mom's card always works. I don't know. If only we had a bit of a wishing well or a little crystal ball just to look at the future of payments. But unfortunately, we don't. We have neither of those. And what we thought about a few weeks ago, I reached out to some of you in the audience, merchants, customers, and even family members, as you heard, just to get your views on what the future of payments looks like. And this is what you had to say. Wow, what some lovely responses over there. I mean, many of them around authentication, streamlining it, reducing the friction. Two of the areas that really stood out for me personally was that I felt that merchants and customers alike were looking for payment methods that kind of grew with how technology grew. And then secondly, they were earnestly looking for payment methods that promote financial inclusion.
For sure. I think you're 100% right, Blom. I think those are very topical and things to consider. But it's all about remaining relevant. And I think merchants and payment gateways out there, Peach specifically, are very aware of remaining relevant and keeping abreast of the times and the evolution within payments, albeit that the speed is immense. So to that point, I think the trends in payments, as much as we want to say card is no longer king and something else have taken its place, card is very much still king. We've looked at the recent studies that have been published, and the trend is definitely that card is still the number one choice, with EFT and your other payment methods like credit and BNPL being a short second. But we can't look at that in isolation. You would have to look at what are people shopping on. Are they shopping on the typical desktops? Are they shopping on devices? And that, dovetailing that with the preferred payment methods, is where I think somewhere in between the future lies.
Yeah.
And I think on the stats you guys will see here, as almost 60% of shopping is device-based. In other words, either your handheld device, your phone, or a tablet or similar.
Yeah.
So that is definitely some of the key things to look out for in future, most definitely.
Yeah. Well, let's take a closer look at the available Peach payment methods, and how it may align with some of these categories you saw earlier, and even the ideologies. First up, we've got the bank payment methods, which would include your card payments, then EFT payments second. And I think the EFT space has definitely grown in the last year or so, and mainly due to the banks opening up their own APIs and their own EFT payment methods. We've called it Pay by Bank, and these are the payment methods available. I think there's been an uptake because customers feel generally a lot more safer and secure with their own bank's EFT solutions, which in turn has also promoted other third-party EFT solutions as well.
Sure. So we're also adding Absa Pay to the stable later this year. And as soon as a bank will publish the API, we will most definitely integrate with it and adopt it, because there's definitely a growth in alternative payment methods like EFT we've seen in the market.
I think something that's really interesting is that the use of QR code payments as well as device payments is on the rise. And I think this aligns with the earlier slide that we saw around the types of devices that are being used for payment processing. So definitely an interesting space to watch.
Also, Bloma, we're offering Absa Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay, and Apple Pay.
Yeah.
And we, like the guys have mentioned earlier, we were one of the first to do so. And you will know in this that on Apple Pay, as an example, we're seeing a 20% better increase in conversion than what we'd see on traditional payment methods. So what that basically means is that people that are using Apple Pay on their device, there's a 20% improved conversion. And that, I think, speaks to the point of capturing errors and potential other 3S issues and things that are experienced. So definitely something for us to look out for. And that's why we're also investing in other payment methods.
Yeah, like Zappa as an example. The next category would be your credit and lending, a very exciting space.
Most definitely. I think for us, financial inclusion is not just about the underbanked getting an opportunity to be banked or having a virtual store of value. I think it's very relevant to say that we should give our customers the freedom of choice and the luxury of choice. It's not necessarily always credit-dependent customers and consumers that opt for these payment methods, but more people that are wanting choice. I don't want to use my available credit necessarily for a payment. I want to utilize something else. So to that point, we're seeing a massive adoption, and two benefits for merchants that I see is average basket totals increasing. People are buying more because they can finance it. And then obviously a massive increase in revenue for those merchants that have opted for it.
And a more frequent customer.
Yes, the return customer base is also definitely there. So to that point, we're adding RCS and floaters payment methods. So this year still, and we're very excited about the opportunities that lie within that.
Yeah, I saw a stat on the Future FinTech News, which said that in the buy now, pay later space specifically, they saw that globally it had increased. 2023, it was 165 billion. To 232 billion in 2024. And they estimate that it will grow even further to 1 trillion by 2028. Absolutely amazing.
Is that in dollars?
That's in dollars.
Oh, man, that's a lot.
Lastly, we've got the vouchers and rewards space. Still an area that we're exploring actively at the moment. The one voucher solution that we have live is your one voucher or one for you offering. And then on the reward side, we've got the Amex rewards as well as the U-Count rewards.
So, Brahmas, this more fixed stuff we can show. Is that everything?
Not just yet. We're not just yet. Watch this space. Look forward to, or keep your eye peeled to what's to come later on in the year. Now, thinking bigger has always somewhat been a theme at Peach Payments. From the time that we introduced tokenization into the South African market for single-click checkout or for subscription payments, to us releasing our own MPI, again a first in South Africa. So finding alternative ways of making payment has always been at the forefront of what we do. One of the solutions that speaks to that is our payment link solution. Now, it is a fairly old product. It has gone through a bit of a revamp, and a lot of you in the audience will be using it today. A few additional use cases, the obvious ones, is obviously for merchants who don't necessarily have a website or a mobile app, but still need to collect a digital payment online. We also see it working really well in call centers around debt collection, which is always key. Debt collection, as well as what we call merchants on the go, where you might have reps in the field who then need to collect payments. We've also seen it work exceptionally well in the retail space around abandoned carts. So a customer's transaction fails, but you might still want to check with them if they really still want to keep up with that payment. The benefit to that is that the same amount is posted with the transaction ID, which creates an ease of reconciliation. Also, within the insurance space, we've seen merchants use it to great effect around failed debit orders. Now, there's been 3 new features to this particular product. One, you'll see that we've added every single payment method within our ecosystem into payment links. Your customers now have exactly the same experience as what they have on your website, they'll have on payment links as well. A second feature is the ability to tokenize card data. Think about a subscription merchant where a card has potentially failed, has been cancelled, or it has been stolen, and you then need to retokenize a card, keeping that subscription going for the customer.
Is that to update your card?
Update your card data.
Payment links.
Correct.
I don't even know that.
Then we've also added the feature of adding an expiry date to your payment links. Now, this works really well when you have a time-sensitive transaction that needs to be done. Think about booking a flight or booking some sort of accommodation, and you've got an hour to make sure that you don't miss your flight. So this works exceptionally well in this space. Now, you heard from my colleagues earlier, we've just launched Payment Pages. It's hot off the press. This is our new addition to our stable. Now, how Payment Pages differs to payment links is that you, the merchant, receives a unique merchant link as well as a QR code. The amount for the specific link isn't defined up front, giving that customer the flexibility to insert the amount they'd like to pay. Now, think about donations where this works exceptionally well. You're sending a link to your donor, they're able to stipulate the amount they would like to donate. Again, within call centers, as well as your merchants on the go, needing to take partial payments, perhaps for deposits, this works exceptionally well. One of our merchants has even taken to printing the QR code, putting it on a stand at a market or perhaps in-store, giving their customers the option now not only to pay with card, but any one of the payment methods in the Peach ecosystem. Now again, we're just scratching the surface here with use cases. We'd like for you to start thinking about where this could be implemented in your organization.
One last thing, what I found, and obviously I'm still fairly new to Peach, or I like to say that. I don't know how many years I can still say that, but in being fairly new, one of the competitive advantages for me of Peach is the fact that we've got the partner API and the payments API.
Yeah.
So on the payments API, the phenomenal thing is that you as a merchant integrate with us once and you get that menu, and as soon as we add payment methods, you can just select it, tick and untick it, right? That ease of transacting. You don't have to do bespoke integrations to have that, to have all of those payment methods. You can switch on and switch off at leisure. The other part, the partners API, what I also find that speed to market is if you have a proprietary payment method or closed loop wallet or whichever payment method, virtual store of value as I call it, you can then integrate it into the partners API, and you then establish and decide the speed at which you want to integrate into Peach. It's no longer dependent on us having to do all the work. You can then integrate into us.
Yeah. And I think it's gateways have always struggled with being the bottleneck when it comes to onboarding payments. So this is, to be honest, revolutionary. Thanks so much for your time. Let's get you paid.
Thanks.